and welcome to
Hello and welcome back. On this week's video, we will be talking about China's economic rise over the past 50 years.
Immediately after the atrocities of World War II, China began a 4-year-long civil war with itself, and in 1949, the Chinese Communist Party finally took control of the government. As one could imagine, the war left China in terrible shape, with hundreds of millions of people in poverty and a terrible economy. After seeing the impact communism had on the USSR, it was obvious that things would not become better for a very, very long time. With the initial policies of the newly formed People's Republic of China, China's economy was forced to be very poor, inefficient, lacking trade, and centrally controlled by the government, almost like a dictatorship. However, this all changed in 1979 when the PRC first took steps to grow their economy with free market reforms. Since then, China's economy has been improving exponentially. A study in 2018 showed that its gross domestic product averages at 9.5% annually, which is described by the World Bank as the fastest sustained expansion by a major economy in history. With their newfound wealth, the People's Republic of China has made 3 major advancements: giving economic aid to other countries such as African countries, pursuing aerospace engineering, and developing a stable economy. These decisions can be seen simply as kind-hearted and reasonable, but we believe that there is more to these choices. We believe that over the past 50 years, the PRC has made an impressive rise to power and is on the road to becoming a first-world country. And this sudden strength may be intimidating for other wealthy countries around the world.
For example, China has made the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development to help other countries with military programming. By the year 2025, over $1 trillion will have been given to this cause as direct investment, soft loans, and commercial loans. According to the Chinese analysts, Africa is China's second largest supplier of business and service contracts. Because of this, China went out on a campaign in Africa trying to get recognition for their legitimacy as a country during the Cold War. By the mid-1980s, China's attempts gave them diplomatic recognition by 44 African countries, showing their popularity. China provided more aid to other countries during the Cultural Revolution. The Tanzania-Zambia Railway, built from the year 1970 to 1975, which provided 980 million RMB without expecting anything in return. With few exceptions, there is a strong tendency among observers to assert moral judgment in the assessment of Chinese aid and development finance to Africa. China's activities are either evil because they represent China's selfish quest for natural resources and damage Africa's fragile efforts to improve governance and build a sustainable future, or they're virtuous because they contribute to a foundation for a long-term economic development through infrastructure projects and revenue creation. Yun Sun, a non-resident fellow, said that. In essence, China is babying countries in Africa, hindering their ability to function regularly and preventing their growth independently, forcing them to depend on China for support. Since China's economic reforms in the late 1970s, China has managed to get 700 million people out of poverty. Both the Official Development Assistance and the Organization of Economic Cooperation and Development are organizations created by China who aim to help the social welfare of other poor countries and serve other donors to African countries. In 2013, President Xi Jinping Beijing renewed its commitment to major finance infrastructure projects in other countries by announcing the Belt and Road Initiative. It is clear that China has been using these projects to prove their powers and abilities to the entire world, and in some ways bringing them closer to becoming a world superpower.
On top of the PRC's economic aid to multiple African countries, they have also made political strides in the world of aerospace. To provide some background, let us talk about the largest space project that has ever been executed, the International Space Station. In November of 1999, multiple space agencies, including the National Aeronautics and Space Administration, or NASA, the European Space Administration, or the ESA, Roscosmos, which is the Russian space agency, the Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency, or JAEA, and the Canadian Space Agency, CSA. All of these space agencies teamed up to create the most aerospace engineers' dream, to a permanent space station in low orbit, the ISS. Such a space station would be appealing for multiple reasons, such as it would provide a refueling center for future intersolar system missions, and it would provide a great environment for previously inaccessible science experiments. As one could see, the advantages of having a permanent space station are revolutionary, and every country with an interest in space would therefore want to be a part of it. Unfortunately, the China National Space Administration, or CNSA, was left out of the project, and in 2011, the US officially banned China from the ISS. This was due to the USA's accusations toward China of stealing information from their Jet Propulsion Laboratory, a key aerospace research site. Moreover, in 2007, China made a lackadaisical decision to terminate one of their satellites via a missile. The aftermath of the explosion resulted in a huge area of debris around the Earth, which may endanger other satellites in LEO. Despite the CNSA's complete lack of partners or suppliers, China has managed to make huge progress in space over a short amount of time. On October 15, 2003, China launched their first man into orbit with their very own rocket and spacecraft. In 2011, they brought their first space station, Tiangong-1, into LEO, which was added upon in 2016. The complete station should eventually be 1/5 of the size of the ISS, and is expected to be completed in 2023. However, the most recent and largest achievement the CNSA has made was landing a rover on the far side of the moon in 2019, something which humankind has never before achieved. China's space agency has accomplished a great many things, and these milestones have influenced people around the world. One person especially influenced by China's space advancements was Jesse Schwartzman, an aerospace engineer currently working in the private sector, a former employee of NASA. Hey Jesse, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. I wanted to ask you some questions about China's space program. I was wondering if you would be able to answer them.
I'd be happy to.
Thank you.
To the extent I can.
Of course. My first question is, how did China's space advancements over the past 20 years impact you as a space engineer?
While they didn't impact me directly, I see the effects of their development. They've become a first world power in aeronautics and astronautics. Therefore, it's like running against somebody in a race, where I feel like the United States have upped our game because China has. I think the impact has been more on our country and our space program than me personally.
Thank you. My next question would be, do these achievements, like the 2019 landing on the far side of the moon, change the way you perceive the country, especially in the sense of technological power?
Absolutely. It absolutely did. Even being in the business of aerospace, I was shocked that they were able to complete it. Sometimes I'm not sure that the information we get publicly from China is all correct, but we do know they accomplished that feat, and to do it was an amazing achievement and a commendable achievement. And I personally was surprised, and I think most scientists and engineers in the United States and politicians, the State Department, were surprised as well, that they were able to, because it wasn't just that the singular accomplishments um, that they've done, particularly since like 2003. It's the industrial base that's required to achieve those things, like manufacturing and material science and quality control and fuel systems, propulsion, mathematics. So it's a lot of disciplines that came together to accomplish this, and I'm still in awe and surprised.
Thank you very much. Also, in 2011, China was officially banned from the International Space Station, and it's called an International Space Station, but China is not allowed to be a part of it. What do you think about that, and do you think it's reasonable?
I won't comment on whether I think it was reasonable. I don't know that my personal opinion really counts here, but the first name of the International Space Station is international, and 12 countries have participated in it, and a lot of them still do. The reason behind the ban, quite frankly, in one word, Gedalia, is distrust. That stemmed with at the time that they were banned, there were people with dual citizenship, China and United States citizenship, that were taking technology from the United States and delivering it particularly from the NASA Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Pasadena, California, and delivering it to China. Exactly what happened and exactly why the State Department was dissatisfied with China, I think it remains classified. I do not know that. I do not know why. All we know is that they were banned, and they're the only country that is banned. As you know, Russian cosmonauts are in the space station. So the nefarious things they did, the egregious things they did, I don't think were fully made public, but I'm pretty sure that had to do with industrial espionage.
That was very helpful. I really appreciate it. And my final question was, do you think China is using these advancements, using these technological moves and technological milestones to help them rise to power politically?
Absolutely. And I think we see that already, Gedalia, that their rise politically, it's not going to happen. It's happened already because of these achievements. Definitely, yes.
Thank you very much. Well, those are all my questions, and I really appreciate it. Have a great day.
You're welcome. Take care.
China has advanced unbelievably quickly in the world of aerospace, and to compare China's CNSA with other space agencies around the world, they are now catching up to the US and Russia in a new space race a whole 40 years after the two other competitors started. This ambition of the PRC must be based on something, and it may prove China's true intentions to gain admiration from everyone around the world, therefore growing their political power and make their mark as one of the world's global superpowers.
Over the past 2 decades, China has gone from cheap factories and to leaders in tech. They have grown their military, giving them more and more attention from other countries, and China has gained more influence around the world because of the pandemic. Moreover, by focusing on China's trading with the US, one could easily see China's influence on even the wealthiest countries. Proof of this is obvious, as China is the biggest merchandise sales partner of the US, its largest source of trade, and home to the third largest US export market. The Chinese government has chosen slower economic growth, calling it the new normal, and recognizing the need for China to accept a new growth model that relies less on fixed investments and exporting and more on private consumption, services, and innovation to drive economic growth. Just as Japan thrived during its economic boom after World War II, China is experiencing a similar event which the West see as a threat to their power. All of Asia waiting with optimism, hoping that China will succeed where Japan couldn't, and with 10 times the population and a bigger country than Japan, China has a very good chance to do so. Rana Mitter, an Oxford University graduate, cautions the use of comparisons between the two countries and foretells a more heated future. The age of classic empires is over. Tomorrow's dispute will be about economics and technology, both civilian and military. Reading history is useful and necessary, but it is not a guide to the future. While Japan was able to rebuild a great economy after World War II, its prosperity peaked in the 1980s. Though China is busy experimenting with market-style reforms, 40 years later, Japan remains wealthy, and China has become unbelievably rich with the second greatest economy in the world. And although China has stolen engineering from other countries and fallen short of promises to open up its market, China's ruling Communist Party is still afraid of the U.S. Is still afraid that the U.S. will never fully accept its government. Richard Hadrian, a Philippine analyst, works specifically on the Chinese-U.S. rivalry, said that it is He said that this fear generates the sense that no matter what they do, the West will always see them as a threat and seek to contain and sabotage China's rise. As an example, China said rise in power in the aforementioned Belt and Road Initiative, one which builds ports and rails and other essential infrastructure around the world. The West sees China's action of this initiative in Latin America as a way to increase Chinese influence overseas. Another example would be the United States' constant push with their aircraft carriers against China in the South China Sea, and the multiple U.S. military bases ranging from South Korea to Guam. Unfortunately, the most significant legacy of the war in Asia is the lasting imprint of U.S. power, both military and economic, said Minotauro Oba, a former American diplomat. It is unclear what these frictions will result in during the 21st century. But the fear of a nuclear apocalypse should either fire country nuclear missiles at each other does put the danger levels in check. To reduce dependency on such a large, unpredictable country, the US and others have decided to try to cut technological ties with China, as seen with the former President Trump trying to ban the popular TikTok app from the US. However, the commercial effects from a larger decision could be catastrophic, with commercial consumers like Apple who rely on China to manufacture almost all of their electronics. Hadrian explained further that there was just no way that Japan could match the United States even in the Pacific, where China is quite different in that its sheer size gives an increasing parity with the United States in ways that Japan never enjoyed. This advantage gives China, whether military or economic conflict, a chance to become a very formidable challenger in the years to come.
Ultimately, over the past 50 years, China has made monumental strides in the sense of wealth and economy. It has evolved past their poor origins and overcome great obstacles to be where it is today, and China has spent its new wealth very wisely. The PRC saw this opportunity and took it. investing in some then questionable technologies and strategies, which all paid off generously. As of now, China is one of the biggest and wealthiest countries in the world and is very close to becoming one of the few first world countries. Some of the profitable strategies used were the politically appealing economic aid to poverty-stricken countries in Africa, which left China with numerous treaties. Another is the pursuit of space technology, which since the late 50s has shown to bring admiration from all parts of the world. And the most complicated, the development of one of the greatest economies the world has ever seen. These decisions are what led to China being what it is today, and the sheer power gained from all of it is hard to believe. The entire world must now be aware of how influential the People's Republic of China really is.
Thanks for watching, and see you next time.